Yeah, my name is Spencer Rockford. I was born July 25th, 1990. My interest in music actually started when I was 7 years old. I started taking piano from a local studio, Suzuki. It's kind of the craze at the time. There were a lot of people, learning music from there. So I started there, and then went on to I joined Friendly City Sound. I should probably say I'm from Ottawa, Illinois. So a couple years later became a member of Friendly City Sound, and shortly around that time joined band. And I really enjoyed playing piano, but I think the first just aha moment that I love music was in the Friendly City Sound. We did this piece of music which I still love listening to today, called Gloria Deo, and it's kind of a staple for younger children, and I just remember a performance that just really resonated and kind of changed my young life at the time. Started kindergarten at St. Pat's, and I went to St. Pat's from kindergarten to the end of my 4th grade year, and around that time is about the time that you start band. And the situation at the parochial school was that I could not join band as long as I went to that school. So my family ended up taking me out of the school, putting me in the public school system. I went to Lincoln for 5th and 6th. At that time, there was no intermediate school in Ottawa, and joined the band and was still playing piano and in Friendly City Sound. And then I went to Shepherd, 7th and 8th grade year. Had Miss Martin, who just recently retired, and Mrs. Collins. She was the choir director there at the time. And then from there, went to high school, where I had you, Mr. Roger Amm, and Miss Sarah Reckmeyer as my teachers. I did not know until probably later in my junior year that I wanted to become a choir director. I knew that I loved music, but I just didn't know what exactly I wanted to do with it. Yeah, kind of a funny story. I got to high school, and not that I didn't have a great choir experience up to high school, but I definitely had more of a great band experience up till then. And I had talked to my mom. I had said, I'm going to quit choir. I'm going to go, straight into band, and I'm going to work really, really hard with the band. And she said, there is a great guy at the choir. He has been teaching there for 20 years, and they're just known as a great program. And I still said I really don't want to. and she said give it one semester, and then after that you can quit if you'd like. And the rest is history. Never quit, and I'm a choir director today. And you haven't asked this yet, but really I'm a choir director because of you and Miss Reckmeyer, the influences that you guys had, the passion that you guys put into your programs, that I saw and then said, wow, I want to do this. I had looked at a bunch of schools in the area in about a 2-hour radius that were known for music. And one of those happened to be Milliken. And I went to Milliken kind of as an afterthought, because I had a great IMEA experience where one of the jazz choir directors was the director of the School of Music at Milliken. And I had that great experience, so I decided to check out Milliken. And when I got to Milliken, I learned, not knowing before, that not only was its jazz choir program great, but its regular choral program was nationally renowned. I did not know that before, and kind of the funny thing that that made me know that it was the place that I really wanted to go was when I visited their top regular choral group, and that director, Dr. Holmes, was exposing the regular choir kids who maybe didn't get jazz. Not all of them were in the jazz program at Milliken. He was showing them a Greg's Jaspers tune, and here was a regular choir with regular choir sounds singing like a jazz ensemble, but only with the big numbers and those jazzy sounds. And it was really kind of the point where I said, Milliken's where I'm going.
You're getting your education degree.
Yeah. Well, a lot of performing ensembles. My freshman year, I was involved in a group there called Milliken Men, kind of a glee club for men. I was also involved in one of their jazz groups my freshman year, and then sophomore through senior, I was involved in their top group, university choir. Directed by Dr. Holmes, and I was in that for 3 years. I was also in their top jazz group, One Voice, for 3 years as well. I got a Bachelor of Music, music education, vocal emphasis. I didn't do any, minors or double majors because music education is kind of like a double major in itself. But I did do a lot of commercial type classes just on the side because that wasn't something that was built into the curriculum.
Commercial music.
And I thought it was important to have that rock, that jazz background. When I'm teaching a bunch of students that hear that music every day. I should know how to, put some of that into my curriculum as well. Yeah, I student taught at Lake Zurich High School, a Chicago suburb with Nick Jucanellis. And
Talk about your experience.
yeah. I don't think I was fully mentally ready to go into the world and teach, because I think it took about halfway through my student teaching experience for me to say, I'm ready to go and I'm ready to teach. So I think, if I could go back now and redo it again, I would love to, because now, I know what the expectations are and I know what it takes. And I guess it was a good experience because it really did, but when at the point that I eventually took over his choirs and was basically doing what he did during the day, I finally got my feet fully wet. Milliken has some great opportunities for you to do that beforehand, but as far as the just full day stuff,
And what were your responsibilities?
Yeah, he had 5 curricular choirs. About 230 in the program, so slightly bigger than what I had been used to in my, my own experience here at Ottawa. But he had a pretty, full day. They had 9 periods in their day, and 5 of them were choirs. He did that all by himself. Since I have left, the program actually grew to 300, and now that they have 3 different directors. Only one is full-time, but they really have a lot of stuff going on there. Well, right after I graduated college.
What year was that?
Yeah, that was spring of 2012. So that summer started, and I said, I think I'm going to take maybe a couple years off from teaching. I'm going to go down to Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm going to perform for a while. So then about 3 months passed. The school year was about to start, and I said, no, I don't think I'm going to. I think I want to be a teacher after all. So by that time, most of the great opportunities, had already been filled. And I did not get a full-time job that first year. So I I kind of did what I would probably be doing in Nashville, just in Ottawa. I did a bunch of side gigs here and there. I substitute taught for you and Miss Reckmeyer at the time. Did a bunch of things just kind of around the town, and made sure I was ready to get a job. When the next kind of wave of hiring came around, that probably March.
So what did you do after that? Was
Yeah.
it a full year of that? Or?
It was almost a full year of that. I went into the summer a little bit, and then ended up getting a job in Southern Illinois, Mount Carmel Middle School, down in Mount Carmel, Illinois, about 5 hours away from here. And my job description there was 3 curricular choirs, as well as 3 sections of middle school general music. And my thoughts of teaching were always, I'm going to do high school, and I'm going to teach high school choir, and that's what I really want to do. So when I got there, it was definitely I'm going to have to wrap my mind around this, especially the general music. Not something I was, not something I didn't even know if I could be good at. Yeah. Well, it was getting to be. Well, let me backtrack. As is the case in much of the state of Illinois right now, financial issues, and our school district had cut $1.5 million the year before, and one of the cuts in that $1.5 million was the band director who I worked with in Mount Carmel. So they had told me, because I had been hired before him, basically, that I would be teaching choir and band the following year. And this was something that my college degree said I could do, but it wasn't really something that I felt fully comfortable in my own skin doing, even with the band experience I had had. But I was getting ready for it, and I had kind of wrapped my mind around it. And just about the time the school had actually started, the first day had happened, and I got a call from one of the assistant principals here, Mr. DeWalt, saying, we have a choir opening. And I could tell with his voice, it being right around when school was going to start, it was pretty serious. And he said, I hope that you will, apply. And I did. And a couple days later, the second day of school, I had an interview for the job. And later on that day, I had a job offer. I had wrapped my mind around what I was going to be doing at the middle school the next year, but I had kind of put some feelers out in some different places. I was the church that I played piano at, actually, there was a job opening there for a middle school and high school kind of worship director, which would be mostly music, and it sounded, it was a very neat opportunity. As well as there was another opening and job offer from a school in Quincy, the Quincy School District, for a job there too. So it was kind of all of this happening all at the same time. And when I heard this was kind of the last thing, and the week couldn't get any crazier. And when I eventually got the job offer from Mike Cushing, Mr. Cushing, I initially told him no, and then thought about it for about another 24 hours. I talked to some people. I talked to my parents. I talked to you, as you can probably remember. I had dinner with Donna Martin and Sarah Reckmeyer, and after about 24 or 36 hours time, I called Mr. Cushing back up, and I said, I hope you would maybe reconsider a different answer to what I gave you before. And he said, yes, absolutely, you have a job. Well, it started kind of in a whirlwind, because school had started at my old school. school was about to start here, and I kind of came in the first day being friends with Andrew White, who was here for a couple of years before me. I made a joke to the choir when I came in, to the concert choir, and I just said, it's either a brand new person or Mr. White got a lot better looking. Some of them laughed, and some of them were like, too soon, buddy. But no, the choir here really is a positive group, and they kind of, the seniors had seen 3 different directors since they started at Ottawa, and they were probably the most welcoming of everyone. Just really, being nice and influencing their choir mates. That yes, it's a different director, but we can still have a lot of fun and have success and do everything that's been done at Ottawa. Well, as soon as I got the job and just started making sounds with high school singers, I realized what I kind of knew the entire time, that I really am meant to work with high school students. I enjoy teaching, a lot of different age ranges, but, it's kind of meant to be age range for me. I had a lot of good things happen during the year, but I think the greatest moment was probably at the winter concert, the second of the 3 main concerts during the year. We were doing a spiritual, and it was kind of sort of on the easier side, but there were some really difficult technical things about it that the students didn't really realize at the time were happening. And everything kind of came together, and we made just some really good music, and the kids knew it. I knew it. I didn't even have to tell them about it, and they it was really kind of the moment in the year where they kind of fully let their guard down and really I think bought into who I was fully. Well, it's a very supportive place for music. They're because it's so great in music. There are expectations that go on with that. I think that it will be a successful music program and all of that. But the way positive of that is that it's just a great and supportive town when it comes to music. It was a benefit in that I kind of knew, what the concerts were like in the past, and your teaching technique and just what's been done here and what the students are used to a point. Yet at the same time, I had my own self-imposed pressure, just based on the success and all the things that come with it. A bunch of different things. The school year started out with national anthem auditions, and each month kind of had its own flavor of different things that we were doing. Jazz choir, toured around Christmas and in the spring. We had IMEA tryouts in October, solo and ensemble and organizational in the spring, the pop concert at the end of the year. There isn't usually 2 weeks that go by without something going on at the school. And I don't want you personally to feel bad about this at all, because you don't bring any pressure. You, if anything, throughout this have talked me down a couple times, and I know I've even had conversations with Andrew about the same thing. But definitely a lot of pressure. When you get in the community, the first about It actually still goes on, but the first 6 months it happened a lot. I would go out to eat, and you would hear, you're the new director at the high school, and you wouldn't hear congratulations. I never heard congratulations. I heard, you got big shoes to fill. That's what you'd always hear. But you know what? It happened, and the year went on, and I had great experiences with the kids, and I knew in the back of my mind that would happen, but there's another part of you that kind of puts that pressure on. A lot less pressure, I think, this next year and in the future. Yet at the same time, I want to do things regardless of what the future holds. I want to do things that make my students, feel good about what they're doing, that makes the community proud, that makes, the teachers and administration here proud as well. So whatever that looks like throughout the future, yeah, I mean, I never try to deal in absolutes, but I see myself, being here for a long time. And as far as, changing what's already here, it's been a great program and through the years, and not a lot has changed. So I guess I have my own, small little things that maybe I would tweak or change and see how they work. But, as far as the program goes, you're teaching them to sing, hopefully, better at the end of the year than they were at the beginning of the year. So that's the important part. Only because I know Andrew's interview, I wanted to kind of add to the clothing fiasco that he had with his group. I did something similar, not as large scale, last year. I changed the way that jazz choir was dressing, made it a little bit more casual, and at the time I came into a lot of drama on doing that, and same thing happened. We got to the first performance with the different clothing, and everything was okay. And Camille and Sylvia, after all, I mean, the accompanist is who's with you every day, and they're big. I also know that, and Andrew feels bad about this now, but Barb, has been a big help. Barb Kinzer, yeah, has been a big help through the years to you and Andrew and now me, and she's almost like the glue over the years through all these different directors, and now we have a new band director who has kind of kept us afloat and having success. A lot of it is attributed to her. No, I'm not really nervous at all, because I've had a year under my belt and kind of know what's going on now. So it's almost more exciting, because now someone's coming in, and the same but different. So I'm looking forward to working with someone new, as much as I miss the collaboration with Sarah Reckmeyer. And I'm sorry, I was just going to add, we were talking about people before too. Just 3 people in particular, and it's weird because I'm staring right at you right now, but really 3 people in particular outside my family who was sometimes a daily help to me this past year. But 3 people would probably be, Sarah Reckmeyer, who I worked with every day, who I could ask her about anything, and she also always had, a great, well thought out answer, almost like to a crazy point. Just how good she is at that. She was amazing. As well as Andrew White. A lot of people don't know that I got a hold of him a lot, just saying how did you deal with this? How did you deal with that? And he would always go, hey, don't worry about it. Like it will be okay 2 days from now. The pressures of the job. And lastly, you. I mean, I would call you a lot and text you about different things that you went through. Kind of the three of you for totally different reasons, and I have great respect for all of you. Yeah, well, as far as I know, the Shannon building and the music wing have always kind of been, the same. They might paint it every once in a while, but this past summer they had a kind of a life safety project that turned into an entire music wing and larger 800 floor project where they redid a bunch of the rooms and the practice rooms and the choir room, and it's pretty neat because I think because of what the school's known for, and because of what the music program has been able to do in the past, I think some precedence was put into the music wing, and they've kind of redid the rooms and put new flooring and new ceilings and new Wanger soundboards and whatnot kind of throughout, and most things will be pretty new as far as the physical nature of the area goes next year, which I think will be awesome for the students, and some they have ownership in their program at a level of our performing, but I think they'll also have their own ownership as far as the physical space goes. Oh, I think it says they're committed. I think it says they care a lot about music and the arts in this area. You can kind of go throughout town at many times of the year, and even in the community have different performances or different things going on outside even the school. So it's just kind of an area that music and the arts are important.